everybody. This is Stephanie Krupsak with the Purevant Living podcast, Things You Should Know. With me today, I have Jenna Meier here at the Glass Pantry in Walker's Point, Milwaukee. So thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So Jenna Meier is the owner of the Glass Pantry, a zero-waste and package-free bulk food store in Walker's Point in Milwaukee. She aims to make mindful and sustainable living convenient and fun. So let's get started. You can kind of see that we have the lovely background here with all the bulk food items.
Here we are. This is the shop.
Yeah. So we'll probably do a walk around when we finish too. We can kind of show you what she has in store here. So let's start about how we first met.
Yes.
I think initially I messaged about being on the podcast like quite some time ago. Yeah, so maybe a year and a half ago. Yeah.
Okay. And then things were just kind of went haywire. Mm-hmm. And nobody was this close to each other for an entire year.
Yep.
Yeah. So March of 2020 was literally when we planned to open the shop. Like,
that's so crazy.
Could not be worse timing, but honestly, it worked out great. So we were planning to open the shop that spring, and plans changed a little bit. So we started with like just delivery, curbside pickup out front, in-store pickup, stuff like that for several months. And it was great. Like the community really showed up even for like, it's hard to do package-free items for delivery, but we got to pack everything in like paper bags and compostable bags and glass jars, and that totally worked out. And then in July, we opened the storefront, and so we've been open for almost a year now.
That's very cool. That went by so fast.
I know. It's been like the longest and shortest year somehow. I don't know how that works, but it definitely
yeah, I think
has.
we all feel that a little bit. Yeah, I think that I probably messaged you. It might have even been like really early in 20 or the fall before, because I started the podcast in November of 19. So I think you were still in process of setting up.
Yeah.
And you were like, I'm super busy right now. So I totally understand. So
yeah. And at that point, I was so like, when you're creating something, but you like haven't done it yet, you're so like, what could I possibly have to say? Like, I'm not an expert in this yet. I haven't even done this job yet. I'm just like planning it. So I totally was like so nervous about really talking to anyone about it yet, because I thought it would like, I don't know, I felt like it would jinx it or something. Like, well, what if it really doesn't happen or something? Because I was planning to open, but I hadn't yet, So I was like, what do I even talk about? Like, I don't even know exactly what we'll be selling and stuff like that. So I don't know. I was kind of shy about it for a little while, but now I could talk about this all day. So
well, perfect. Yeah. So perfect timing.
Good timing, yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about your background in eco-living.
Yeah, so I feel like I was mostly introduced like to eco-living. I went vegan about 10 years ago. And that was kind of when I first started like seeing things a little differently in the world that we had maybe taken for granted how things were done. And from there, this was about the time when a lot of information was coming out about like garbage and plastic and how it's all still here and how you can't really throw anything like quote unquote away. And it just started to get more mainstream. And I don't know, the more I learned, the more I was like, how could we not know? Like, what are we doing? This isn't sustainable. Like, even in my own house, I'm like, look at all this garbage, and I'm just one person. So for me, it was just kind of a personal journey for like the last decade of, just trying to do better, trying to support more local businesses, trying to reduce my waste, trying to just like learn more, do what I can. And then almost 3 years ago now, I had my son, and that was kind of just like where everything clicked, where I'm like, okay, it's not just about me anymore. I'm setting an example for this little person, not only of living sustainably, but just following your heart, doing what you love, following your passions, things like that. So everything kind of coincided then into like opening this shop. And around that time too, I was a stay-at-home mom with him for the first few years. And that was like I really dove in to like sustainable living because I was just like, you know what? I have time now. I can buy everything in bulk. I can grow some food. I can compost. Like I can do all these things that I've always wanted to do, but like, oh, I always had a job and I didn't have time, you know? Yeah. And the more I got into sustainable living, the more I was like, I just want this to be slightly easier. Like, I don't know. I was like driving around all over town. I'm like going to 3 different stores, just trying to buy food in bulk, which was like my main thing. I was like, if I could just get things in bulk, I could reduce my household waste so much. Driving all over town. And I was like, this isn't sustainable for me. And I'm a stay-at-home parent. Like I have the time to do it. Like how could this be sustainable for anybody else with like jobs and families and hobbies and all these things in their life? Like, how does this fit into your life without you just being miserable? So I just kept coming back to this fact that I wish it was like a little bit easier and more convenient to like live in line with your values. And I saw that around the world and then around the US more recently, these like bulk shops were opening that had food and also like personal care items, household cleaners, stuff like that. And I was like, okay, we're going to get one. We're going to get one. Someone's going to open one here and make my life so much easier. And that just wasn't happening. And one day it just kind of clicked that, oh, I think it's supposed to be me. So that's how I started the journey to this place.
Yeah, and I think that going sustainable in your life can be overwhelming and intimidating if, it's very inconvenient. I think that's probably why a lot of people don't do it. It's not because they don't care. They just, maybe don't have the time to be as efficient about it. Or even one thing I want to mention too with the bulk food, I like that you don't have plastic bags in here. You have like jars you can reuse and things. So that's great too, because like you see a bulk food section and a plastic bag. So what's worse? A sealed plastic bag or a new plastic bag. So I feel like that. So it's really nice that you have the refillable jars here and everything, but that you have many options in your shop for everything from food to, laundry detergent in glass jars that you can shovel out into a new jar. I mean, I just think that you can start small and maybe pick one area of your home to start with first, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the whole goal. And that was a lot of my pet peeves about bulk sections too, is either you couldn't bring your own containers or they only had plastic bags. And I'm like, we're trying so hard. And I understand that the point of the bulk section was also like to get the quantity that you want. It wasn't always like just to reduce waste. But I'm like, I just want like a little paper bag. Like,
or paper bags too. Yeah.
Or you'd go to a store and you'd bring all your containers and they'd be like, oh, you can't use those. I'm like, last time I could. Like, the rules change all the time. Okay. So it'd just be like, I don't know, cumbersome or confusing. And the poor employees that I would always hassle.
That would be frustrating.
Yeah.
So here, do you kind of weigh the jars first before they fill it with the items? So you subtract the weight of the jar. Okay.
Yeah, so we'll tear your containers when you bring them in. So you can bring containers here, but you don't have to. Like we do have paper bags of all different sizes. We have donated jars that we sanitize that people are welcome to use. But you're also welcome to bring anything you want. People bring Tupperware, jars, Ziploc bags, anything really. Anything works. Yep.
Perfect. That's good. So it is definitely zero waste.
Yeah.
So what, or I guess I should ask, what is there like the main experience or kind of what led you on the path you're on today? Is like one particular changing point in your life, or is it just kind of a combination of things?
I think for me, it was a combination of things. I'm always like a gradual change type of person. I think a lot of us are. I think a lot of people would like to say like, there was this event and I totally changed my life and like overhauled all my habits and like became the person I always wanted to be. And while that's super inspiring, I don't think it's totally practical, like as like a model for, other people to follow. Like it's kind of intimidating to just be like, oh, I'm supposed to, once I know this, I'm supposed to like, overhaul all my habits and just be this ideal person that like I want to be. And that's just not always possible. I think gradual change is totally admirable and doable for most people. I'm like we're told all the time that you can't change habits overnight, just.
That's true.
So for me, I mean, I would just pick one thing. And a lot of things didn't stick, and that's okay. I tried making all my own stuff, like cleaners and laundry detergents, stuff like that. I did not like it. Some food I like to make, I like to make my own veggie broth and stuff like that. I can do it with my kid. It's easy. But a lot of stuff I don't like to DIY. I learned that on my journey. But that's great, to learn about yourself, okay, well, I love to do these things myself, and these things I'd love to support, a sustainable or local business who makes them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for me, it was definitely just a gradual process. The more I learn, the better I get, and I hope that's just, a lifelong thing.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think studies show, too, that if you try to do too many changes at one time, you won't stick to them anyway. It's kind of like a New Year's resolution, that if you make it too extravagant or too tough to make, that it'll just be impossible to maintain.
Yeah, and it's discouraging, because you feel like, oh, I failed at this. It must not really be, something I really want to do, when it totally could be, but you're just trying to do too much at once. And it's not as exciting to just be okay, I'm going to cut out, one thing this month, I'm going to change my toothpaste or something like that. But when you look back, it's awesome to see everything that's changed. But when you do gradually change too, it's hard because you sort of forget how far you've come. Because the goal of gradually changing your habits is to make them so that you don't have to think about them all the time, right? You make them habits. But when things are habits, you kind of forget about them. So for me, for instance, kind of lately, I've been I feel like I'm not as into sustainable living as I used to. And then I had to think no, it's just a lot easier for me now. I've made habits out of all these things. I can get so much in bulk. I don't think about the laundry detergent pails I'm not using anymore, the coffee bags, or candy wrappers, or all these things, because they're not in my house. They're out of sight, out of mind. So you forget how far you've come. So it's important to look back and be wow, I have made a lot of changes, and I am really proud of myself.
Yeah, maybe something to do is a yearly assessment, yearly eco assessment, and see how are we doing.
Yes, 100%.
And compare.
Because if you're not celebrating the wins, it's not going to be an enjoyable journey for you.
That's true.
And if it's not enjoyable, you won't stick to it. So it's definitely important to look back and pat yourself on the back a little bit.
Definitely. And it's so fun, too, that you support so many local makers, that you're not only helping your environment, you're helping yourself and, other small businesses. So it's kind of like a multifaceted, all things good.
Yeah, the community aspect is really important to me. Yeah.
Definitely. Very cool. I know for me, I think I probably started with the reusable totes. There's a company I really like, no sponsorship affiliation, but they're called EnviroSacks, and they have the most beautiful designs. And honest to God, I've had some of these bags since college, so a long time ago.
Yeah.
And you can throw them in the wash, and they're great. And so I'd probably say that's the first time. I guess what I'm really trying to focus on now is while in the grocery store, don't buy pre-packaged, pre-cut stuff. I'm trying to buy just stuff tied together with a twist tie or something, from the produce market. I have been seeing, though, that some produce that are organic have compostable kind of containers they're in, which are nice to see instead of just plastic. Then it's still in plastic wrapper. So I'm hoping that those become, because I know they can make some out of cornstarch and algae and different things that look like plastic, but they're
People are getting very creative, yes.
Yeah, or even mushrooms. I think they make some of the styrofoam looking parts.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so that's
And that's a great thing about supporting your local farmers and stuff too. That you can just be can you just throw it all in a paper bag?
Yeah.
And farmers are whatever you want. Absolutely. I'll throw it in whatever container you want.
Exactly. So you said that you kind of started doing things at home and you're trying to make a better future for your son. And what would you say is your first kind of eco initiative that you did in the house to kind of make things better?
So I did the trash audit.
Okay.
Where you kind of wait till your garbage is full and then you dump it out and see what it is. And that really helped me identify what, I don't want to call them problem areas, but things that we repeatedly buy. And a lot of it was food packaging. We did it with recycling too. So shampoo bottles, and then just household cleaner type stuff, the laundry detergent, countertop cleaners, stuff like that. And so that was really helpful to be like, okay, now I have a place to start. And I think that's really important instead of being like, oh, there's all these like eco-friendly items out there. I'm just going to go buy them all and like, it'll be great. But not everything applies to your life. Like I didn't have a lot of like, I don't know, makeup items or clothing tags or stuff that like maybe other people might have. Like everyone's lifestyle is different. So if you're going out and buying a bunch of new items, but they're not helpful to you, like they're not even replacing things that you currently use, like it's not going to be helpful. So
That's true.
I definitely suggest doing the trash audit and just seeing where you're at. But for me, I could be like, oh, easy. Like I don't have to buy lettuce in a plastic bag, you know, like, okay, I'll start with that. Right. Or like, maybe I'll just throw the apples in my cart instead of putting them in a bag, you know? And for me, that was the best place to start because they were like easy swaps. They related directly to my life, particularly because it was my trash I went through. And yeah, you just watch the garbage get less and less full. And it's awesome. And obviously, you know, it wanes. Like some months we have more garbage, some months we have less. And just give ourselves grace on the times that we're too busy.
No, that makes sense. And you can kind of see clearly, how much you're using and maybe you're improving by you have one more week of garbage space or something per month.
Exactly.
Yeah, by using less. That's a great advice too, to add your produce right to the cart. One thing I noticed they did in Mexico, which I loved, these beautiful like markets like this, or they'd have, produce. They had these really pretty wicker baskets. You just put on your arm and you go shopping and you something feels better to me about putting your apples and lettuce right in a wicker basket than like a plastic.
Yeah, 100%.
So maybe a little tip for grocery stores. That might be something to add because it just feels like you're more at a fresh farmer's market. And then, because if you're putting, maybe they just sprayed the lettuce with water and it's a little bit damp. And I just feel like putting it in a basket feels better to me than, a plastic basket. Yeah.
And like you really connect to your food more when it's a good experience buying it. Like when it doesn't feel like a chore and when you look forward to it and like, you're more connected to it in these really simple ways, like a different type of basket or something like that. It gets you like into the moment a little bit more and out of like the chaos in your mind where like we grocery shop all the time. Yeah. We don't really think about it. It's a chore. We have to get it done. But when you do these little things that connect you to the food, when you're like, oh, look, this didn't come in a package, or like, oh, this is from a local farm, or like I chose this with care or intention, like it makes a big difference. Not only in that experience, but when you cook with it, when you feed it to your family, like even
the energy of the food.
Yeah, like eating that food becomes a different experience. It changes your life to change your experiences a little bit like that. And if you can do that with just little pieces of your life, like it all adds up and it just, you feel better.
Yeah. And I think I like what you said about being intentional. And I'm maybe other end of the spectrum where I'm like, I love grocery stores, especially in foreign countries. It's like one of my,
for sure.
Like it's like going to a museum for me because it's so interesting. I like to see what they have and what's different, but being intentional about what you buy. And they say too that if you shop more frequently and buy less, you waste less because you know exactly what you're cooking. So maybe there's 10 ingredients for a recipe, buy just those that day. And then so you're not buying in bulk or too much of, what you might not use. Dry ingredients is different, but like fresh, I guess, produce, I guess I'm kind of more so saying.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot during this last year when I was like going from shopping several times a week to shopping like twice a month because you're like, okay, I have to get in and get out and like get all my stuff. And I was like, this sucks. Like, this is not fun. Like, I want to go to the farmer's market and just like browse, like
or talk to the growers.
Right. And, like, it was a bummer. I like shopping more often, like, and moving slowly and talking to people. I'm like excited to have that back.
Yeah, definitely. So we're getting there.
Yeah.
So what do you want people to take away from your efforts?
I think I just want it to be easier. I want it to be easier to live in line with our values and our ethics. I want it to be enjoyable. And I want to create a place where you can be intentional with your choices, even though they might seem just like everyday items, you know, like maybe people didn't get excited about their glass cleaner before, but like
I think I told you it's like my favorite. She has a cleaner here from a local, what is the company's name?
Viren Apothecary.
Viren Apothecary.
Yeah.
The peach, or no, pear. It's pear.
Probably white tea and pear.
Yes.
She has such nice scents.
It's so good.
Oh, and they're so clean and just so lovely. But like, even things like cleaning your house can be like such a beautiful, intentional activity. And the same way you can connect with your food, you can be like, oh, this, you know, these cleaning products came from a small company. They, you know, are cleanly made. I don't have to worry about the ingredients. I supported a small business and that person's family. And like, even cleaning your house becomes this like beautiful act. And I just want to help people slow down and connect to things. Like, it almost feels like reducing waste is just a lovely byproduct. But I really believe that sustainable living is more about the connection to what you're doing in your life than it is about the outcome. Like, being intentional, being present, being there for whatever you're doing is the key. Because then you're just going to, whatever good you do is just the outcome of that. Like, be in the moment, be intentional with what you do and what you buy, and you're going to do good in the world. You won't be able to help it.
Yeah, it's like a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And it's just, being intentional, buying the good things, and then your body will be healthier in turn. You're not using products that have endocrine disruptors and things like that, where if you're using this amazing pear cleaner, I joke it makes cleaning fun because it smells so good. So I think I've got a few friends hooked on it too. It's just, it just makes it pleasant. It's like aromatherapy almost in a way too. I don't know, but.
Yeah, and I was talking to my mom about this the other day, about how she was looking in a spice cabinet or something. And she's like, man, she's looking at all these spices that I thought were spices, you know, like, but they're all filled with chemicals or corn syrup or all these things. And it's just like, oh man, like, I don't even know if you slowly start to replace those things with like organic, fresh herbs and seasonings, like just one thing at a time, and life will improve, really.
Reading labels can get intense. I kind of enjoy that too in the store. But like your spices, even cleaning them so you can see all of them, put them out, put them on your counter lined up so you can use them and see them. And and buy as much as you need, you know, like we all end up with these spices from like 8 years ago that we needed half a teaspoon and their shelf life is not. What spices do you have here? Some of your favorites?
I really like the blends. Like, I'm really liking like the lemon pepper and like the Cajun seasonings. I love garlic salt. The Ceylon cinnamon I love.
Very nice. So you can come in and just take what you need. Because sometimes like, if it's a spice you don't use very often, you don't want a big jar of it because, the shelf life is kind of shorter than people think.
Like, if you need a teaspoon, you're never going to use it again. Get a teaspoon.
And you could put it in a plastic bag or paper bag, or a little jar bring in. So,
anything,
Yeah, that's perfect. Just get small ones. I like that. Yeah, and then you know that they're clean too, because that can be another thing too. Where are they coming from? Where are they sourced?
They're fresh. They're organic. We get comments a lot that people are just like, "Oh my gosh, these are the freshest seasonings." Yes, that's the goal.
Good. Well, I am going shopping after, so
we'll hook you up.
So you kind of talked about this already, about how your work impacts the environment and society, kind of like that ripple effect. So I guess, what is your long-term goal with your shop? And do you ever see yourself expanding, or just to kind of spread more good of what you're doing?
It's so funny because like, I have no idea. Like, I really don't right now see myself expanding. So I'm just like so happy in my little space on my corner. Like, I just love coming here every day. And I've never been good at like looking forward too far. Like, I don't know what the plan is. Right now I'm just really happy to grow in our space. We've got a pretty big space in here. We've got room to grow. I'd love to start hosting some events, and some talks and classes and workshops, and little pop-ups for other small businesses. Maybe some little markets in here would be fun. Yeah, I'd love to just start collaborating with other people and other businesses now that it's safer to do so, you know, to bring more people in. Because it was so hard this whole last year. We were focusing on like
launched
not keeping people out, but like limiting the amount of people. Is that, you know what I mean? It was just such a like different mindset. So now I'm totally trying to shift, which has not been easy to like shift into like, hey, we could plan some things like things we originally thought we were going to plan. And I'm just like, my head can't get around it. Like, cause I don't know. It just feels like reckless. So I'm like, okay, we're just going to come out of this whole traumatic year very slowly and see where it takes us. And for me right now, for my own mental health, it's been helpful to not be like, okay, what's the next step? What's the next plan? Like, what are we doing next? This, let's get going. Like, I'm just like, you know what? We're just going to take it day by day and like focus on being like mentally and emotionally stable first, still just taking care of our family and our community first. And everything that comes after that will just be happy surprises, I think.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah,
it is a complete shift. And I think you did such a nice job of having the pickup delivery options. Then you'd have different delivery points around the city. I remember seeing that in the emails, which is super nice for everybody that you kind of made it work and made it very easy.
And we still deliver a lot, which is great. I'm so happy to do it. Like, you know, obviously it was never part of our original plan, but I'm like, this is great. Like if you're just like, I need to stock up on stuff, but like I can't get out of the house or I'm busy or I'm sick or whatever, like why not just order a bunch of bulk foods, get delivered to your doorstep?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Like,
yeah. And it's, you're encouraging them to be more eco, and it's an easier way to do it too.
Yeah. And it's easy for people to support local businesses that they want to support. You know, you can't always get there.
Exactly.
So it's great. Yeah, we have no plans on stopping delivery or anything like that.
Very cool. That's good. Yeah, many options available. So what would you say are some of your top or favorite products right now in your shop?
Ooh, this is tough. We have some newer soaps from Alchemia Skincare in Milwaukee. There's a coffee oats one.
Ooh, okay.
And a cacao soap. And they're just like very dreamy soaps.
I love cacao.
Yeah, like the coffee soap in the morning is awesome. Still loving all the snacks. I swear, snacks are like half the reason I opened this store. Because I'm just like, I want to be able to snack sustainably. So yeah, like, we're all the way hooked on like gummy worms in my house and peanut butter pretzels and dried mango, stuff like that. My new favorite products probably would be our cloth diaper selection.
Okay.
So we recently added that around Earth Day. So I've always wanted to have cloth diapers here, even though I know it doesn't apply to like everybody where they are in their life. But when I was shopping for cloth diapers, there was nowhere to go and like touch and feel and ask questions and like, I don't know, like really shop in that tactile way. Like. You just have to kind of like trust that like this one brand will work for you and drop like several $100s. So like, I think it's great to have a place to go actually look at them and pick out the patterns you want and, you know, look at different price points and different options and like talk to someone about it. So I'm really happy to be able to offer that option. So we have lots of different cloth diapers. Yeah, those are my favorites right now.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what would be your main message to listeners on how they can impact the environment or society?
Yeah, take care of yourself. Like in whatever way you need to. Like really, I really do think people just need to slow down and listen to themselves and stop feeling so guilty for taking care of themselves. With social media and with everything in our ears right now, we get so caught up on like what we should be doing. And it just can be so paralyzing. And I think there's something to be said for like taking that time that you're spending like scrolling and trying to figure out like what you should be doing and just like quiet down, take a walk, be with yourself and just learn more about yourself. And when we do that, we're going to make the contribution that we're meant to make. Because there's really nothing that you should be doing. Like, nobody knows what you should be doing. Only you know that. And the only way you're going to figure it out is if you really spend more time with yourself than you do listening to all the noise and the other people. There's so much to feel guilty about right now. I feel like the more we know, we're like, we should be doing this and that and everything. And you just can't. And you're not going to be super passionate about everything, which is going to make it not stick for you. And then you're going to feel worse. So if we just take care of ourselves first, we're going to learn the things that we really love. And we're going to make the contributions that we're meant to make in the most meaningful ways, because it's really going to come from a place of love, and it's going to come from your heart. So slow down, try things, let yourself hate things, I guess. And you'll learn what you don't like and what you do like, exactly. and where you're really meant to be in this world. Because we all just have a place in our own communities, and it takes a little time to find it, and it takes real intention. I think that's the place to start.
I like that. So what is one eco or sustainable ritual that you do daily or weekly that you'd encourage listeners to try that you really like?
Like I said, the one thing for me that it's really random, but I really like making my own veggie broth.
Okay.
And it's something, again, that I can do with my kid that like really stuck for me. And it has become like a really cool ritual for us. Like, because from start to finish, you can involve your whole family, and it's easy and helpful and something you use all the time. So we save our scraps in like a big Ziploc bag in the freezer. Yeah. And then when it's full, we make the broth. So we boil it all up with water, and then we measure it out into 1 cup increments. And then we freeze those so that we have these like little 1 cup pucks of broth in our freezer. And like, this is to say, it doesn't have to be veggie broth, but it has to be something that becomes a ritual that feels really nice in your life, you know? So if you like find a thing like that, maybe it's like growing herbs on your countertop, or like make like DIY something you really like to make, or maybe it's gardening or thrifting or anything that like feels like a beautiful ritual in your life. That's the stuff to hold on to, I think. And that's what, I don't know, randomly veggie broth became for us. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, something like that.
I like that too. And then it's also waste free because you're saving like the ends of carrots or the peeling. So that's really nice. I've heard of. Yeah.
And it's a really easy one to like teach kids, because they get it and they see it from start to finish. And then when they cook with you, when you're making soup or ramen or lasagna or whatever, they're like, oh, we made this from all the celery pieces or whatever. And it's like a really cool way to like connect your kids to food, even when they're really young, because they can help, you know, like throw the carrot tops in a bag, like easy.
Yeah,
easy.
Perfect. Do you add any special spices to your broth, or?
Sometimes. A lot of times we'll add like some seaweed or something like that.
Oh, nice. Too. What kind do you like? There's many varieties.
Like,
dulse, yeah. Okay.
We're not too picky though.
Okay, very nice.
Whatever we got, we throw in it. Yeah.
I know I was in Ireland.
Some bay leaves.
Oh, that's good too. When I was in Ireland, I brought back some like in little jars of different types of seaweed. It's interesting.
Yeah, seaweed is fun.
With different thicknesses, and when it's dried, it's really interesting to work with. Yeah. Or you could just take nori and crumble that up too.
For sure. Whatever you have. And some of them you'll take a bite and you're like, ooh, no, not that one.
Yeah, some are very strong. Yes, definitely. Yeah. So what is your personal mantra or theme song that kind of gets you into a good state of mind?
Ooh. I really like the quote, do the best you can until you know better. And when you know better, do better. I think it's great to like give yourself grace and be like, I really am always doing the best I can. And it's different every day. Just because like maybe I was doing quote unquote better yesterday at like all my goals or whatever, doesn't mean I'm not doing the best I can today. Like every day is different. So yeah, I really tell myself a lot that I'm doing the best I can. And it's great when you can believe it too, because we can't always believe it. Sometimes we like say it, oh, I'm doing the best I can, but it's true. So if you can tell yourself that and really believe it, it's helpful. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. To give yourself grace, not be too hard on yourselves, because we're often our own worst critic. So
100%. We always are our own worst critic. I swear nobody cares about you as much as you care about yourself.
Yeah. I think that's the case too, usually.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that. Well, lastly, how can listeners reach you?
So you can find us, I guess, on social media, on Facebook and Instagram at Glass Pantry Milwaukee. Our website is glasspantry.milwaukee.com, so you can shop online there or just check us out. We're in Walker's Point, the physical shop, 1039 South 5th Street. So we're a couple blocks south of National on 5th Street, right on the corner. Yeah, come see us, check us out. Love to have you.
Yeah, come do some shopping.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everybody for listening today, and thank you so much for being my guest. It was really great chatting.
Of course,
Learning
thank
more
you.
about sustainability. Everybody have a great day.